We have all felt a quiet kind of exhaustion inside, that subtle sense that no matter how hard we try, life still takes something away from us. We move through each day carrying what others expect, holding their moods, their opinions, their needs, until one moment we look back and realize we have forgotten ourselves. When that happens, the world feels heavy not because it truly is, but because we have drifted too far from the center of our own mind. We keep searching outside for something that has always been resting quietly within, hoping someone or something will return balance to us, forgetting that this balance was never lost. We simply stopped listening to it. Why does life begin to stall the moment we lose ourselves? What shifts in the very instant we choose to come back to who we are first? These are questions every person eventually faces, and they are also the doorway to the peace the Buddha taught. In this video, we will explore 5 essential principles, 7 simple practices, and at the end, a small gift along with a 30-day exercise to help your life start realigning with clarity and mindfulness. Stay with me, because this journey belongs to both of us. When we begin the journey back to ourselves, one of the most freeing, yet most difficult truths to accept is this: the way others treat us often has nothing to do with our true worth. Someone may speak harshly, act cold, criticize, or belittle us, and our mind immediately reacts as if those things are absolute truths about who we are. But in the Buddha's teachings, another person's negative reaction is like their own shadow. It follows their mind, not ours. A person who is consumed by fear, insecurity, anger, or inner chaos will naturally project those states outward. We simply happen to be standing in the spot where their shadow falls. Imagine a familiar situation. You walk into the office in the morning, trying to start your day gently. But the moment you set your things down, a coworker approaches and suddenly scolds you in front of the team for a small mistake, or even for something you did not cause at all. The criticism hits you like a hard push. In that instant, your heart tightens, as if you have done something terribly wrong. You begin blaming yourself. Was I careless? Did I disappoint them? Am I the problem? Yet when we pause and look more deeply through the lens of Dharma, a different truth appears. That burst of anger says nothing about who you are. It reveals only the state of the other person's mind. A sudden push is often just a signal of someone's inner imbalance. The person who raised their voice at you may be under heavy pressure from their boss, afraid of losing their position, sleep-deprived, or driven by a fear they have never spoken out loud. An unstable mind produces unstable words. When we understand this, we release a large portion of the unnecessary self-blame. The teachings on karma and perception also show that each person responds to the world according to the seeds planted within them. Someone full of insecurity will sow insecurity. Someone holding anger will speak words sharp as blades. Someone with compassion in their heart will naturally offer support. So the way a person acts is not a reflection of you. It is a reflection of them. We do not have to take in that energy, nor turn it into a story that wounds us. A friend once told me she was harshly criticized by a colleague during a team meeting. In a room full of people, he raised his voice and accused her of being irresponsible and slowing the team down, even though the delay was caused by technical issues, not by anyone's mistake. She said in that moment she felt exposed and shamed, but when she sat down to breathe and observe, she suddenly realized he was living with an enormous fear. He feared being judged. He feared losing credibility. He feared losing control of the project. And because he could not bear that pressure, he unconsciously threw it onto someone else. Understanding this made her heart loosen. She saw that his action did not define her. It was only an echo of his own pain. There is one powerful introspective question that can free you in moments like this. Ask yourself, is this truly about me? When you pose this question, you cut off the path that leads to self-blame and open a space of clarity. Not to excuse or fight back, but to see the truth. Those words are simply the expression of a mind in suffering. There is a simple yet effective practice. When someone throws criticism, coldness, or negative energy at you, pause for 2 seconds. Take 3 slow breaths. Then ask silently, is this really about me? 9 times out of 10, the answer will be no. And you will feel a door quietly open. You no longer have to carry the imbalance that belongs to someone else. You can also use a gentle inner response as a compassionate boundary. I hear your pain, but I'm not taking it in. This is not a shield against others, but a reminder that what you are witnessing is not the truth of who you are, but the movement of a mind struggling within itself. This first lesson helps you see clearly that most of what hurts you does not actually arise from you. It comes from souls wrestling with their own fears. But even when you understand this, the mind will still create stories, still interpret and exaggerate whatever happens. And that is precisely where we enter the next part. It may not be about you, but the mind will create a story that convinces you it is real. When you begin to realize that other people's behavior mostly reflects their own suffering, a layer of burden falls away. But even with that understanding, our mind still has a very strong habit. It loves to tell stories. The mind does not simply record events. It creates, it exaggerates, it imagines, and sometimes it writes an entire long play from a single tiny detail. The Buddha taught that the mind is the root of all suffering because we do not see our thoughts as thoughts. We mistake them for truth. Our mind is more like a novelist than a historian. It creates stories rather than recording reality. A single event can lead to countless interpretations. Imagine you send someone a message and they have not replied yet. That is the simple fact. The message has not been answered. But from that one small event, the mind immediately constructs 3 different versions. The optimistic version, they are probably busy and will reply when they have time. The neutral version, maybe they have not seen it yet. And the negative version, they are avoiding me, they no longer respect me, something terrible is definitely about to happen. 3 stories, 3 emotions, 3 directions of thought, all from a moment that lasted only a few seconds. The problem is that most of us react to the most negative story as if it were the truth. We tense up, worry, feel suspicious, blame ourselves, or blame the other person. Yet the only reality is that the message has not been answered. This is the crucial moment to understand that thoughts are not facts. A thought is just a passing cloud. It is not the sky. When you believe the story the mind creates, you live inside your own illusion instead of in the present moment. To step out of the story, we need a simple but powerful mindfulness technique. The gentle reminder, thinking. When you notice the mind beginning to interpret, label, or imagine, say quietly in your mind, thinking. This phrase is like an anchor that pulls you back into awareness instead of letting you drift into the stream of thoughts. It helps you remember that what you are seeing is only mental activity, not the truth of life. You can try a short 30-second practice. When an anxious thought arises, simply label it. If the mind is worrying, label it worry. If the mind is creating a narrative, label it story. If the mind is imagining a bad outcome, label it prediction. When you label a thought, you step outside of it and observe it as something separate from you. This tiny distance is the beginning of freedom. A short example. A mother once shared that her son suddenly texted her asking to skip school. Just a short message, "I'm not going to school today." Immediately, her mind spiraled into interpretation. He is tired of school. He does not want to be close to me anymore. He is hiding something. He is rebelling. Each thought made her heart heavier. But instead of sinking into the narrative, she decided to call him. And the moment she heard his voice, she learned the simple truth. He had a stomachache and wanted to rest. The entire story dissolved instantly. She realized her fear had not come from reality, but from the mind replaying old fears and old memories to write more unnecessary drama. And this is what happens to all of us every day. We suffer not because of what is happening, but because of what our mind imagines. When you begin to see clearly, this is just a thought, this is just a story, this is not the truth, the strength of negative emotions immediately reduces by half. There are 3 simple steps you can practice whenever emotions rise. Step 1. Label the emotion or story that is appearing. Step 2. Take a deep inhale and release it slowly. Step 3. Check the facts. What is actually happening? What is the mind adding? These 3 steps help you return to reality instead of being pulled away by the mind's imagination. You can also use a gentle inner phrase as a powerful tool. Ah, this is a story. I need to check the truth first. This helps you pause at the right moment so you are not dragged into the dark corners of worry and self-blame. When you can see thoughts as thoughts, you reclaim your power. Lesson 2 opens the doorway that helps you recognize the mind's influence and reminds you that you do not have to believe every story your mind creates. But recognizing the story is only the beginning. What matters more is that you do not react to that story. And that is the doorway leading to the next lesson, the power of non-reaction. When you begin to see clearly that the mind often invents its own stories, the next step is learning how not to react immediately to those stories. Non-reaction is not passivity, not weakness, and not indifference. Non-reaction is a deep form of strength, an inner capacity that the Buddha described as emotional sovereignty. When you are no longer pushed around by momentary emotions, you begin to respond to life with clarity instead of reacting from fear or defensiveness. A person who does not rush to react is a person who remains in the seat of the master within their own inner room. There's an old story many people know. When the Buddha was insulted by a stranger in the marketplace, he simply stood still and looked at the man with compassion in his eyes. When asked why he did not become angry, he gently said, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, the gift still belongs to them." Insults work the same way. If you do not pick them up, they have no place to stay within you. This is not coldness. It is the wisdom of someone who understands that reacting only deepens the suffering of both sides. Imagine 2 scenes. In the first one, you try to catch a stone someone throws at you. Your hand will bleed, pain will arise, and anger will flare up like fire. In the second one, you let the stone fall. It hits the ground and breaks into dust. There is no injury. When you let words fall, instead of letting them pierce your heart, they dissolve the same way. This is the essence of non-reaction, allowing things to fall instead of holding them and hurting yourself. To practice the strength of non-reaction, you can use the pause, breathe, observe method. First, pause for 3 seconds. Simply stop. Do not speak. Do not respond. Do not react. These 3 seconds are the doorway that brings you back to yourself. Next, breathe. Inhale deeply for 3 counts. Exhale slowly. Feel the air touching your chest. The breath calms your nervous system and frees you from automatic reactions. Finally, observe for 10 seconds. Feel your body. Notice the warmth rising in your chest. Notice the emotion moving inside. When you observe without chasing after it, the emotional wave naturally becomes smaller. You can also prepare a few inner phrases to use whenever you feel attacked. For example, "I will not let myself be pulled away." Or, "I hear you, but I will not take this inside." These short sentences act like a soft, protective boundary. They remind you that you have the right not to receive someone else's negative energy. And interestingly, when you do not react, the entire space around you changes. The person speaking loudly begins to lower their voice. The one trying to provoke you often no longer knows what to do. As the saying goes, the one who does not react is the one who owns the entire room from within. Non-reaction not only helps you maintain peace, it also encourages the other person to reflect on themselves. But in order to truly not react, you need to understand what you are protecting. Most strong reactions arise when we feel our ego is being threatened. And this is the bridge that leads us to the next lesson. Understanding the sense of self we continue to defend. Only when we see clearly the ego we are trying to protect can we truly free ourselves from unnecessary pain. When you begin practicing not reacting to every external trigger, you will naturally start to look deeper into a bigger question. What inside you is being touched that makes you feel so easily hurt? Most of the time, the pain does not come from someone else's words or actions, but from the sense of self you are trying so hard to hold on to. If in the previous section you learned how not to let emotions lead you, then this is the moment to look directly at the character standing behind all your reactions. The self that is shaped by habits, memories, roles, and expectations. From the perspective of the teaching on non-self, the self is not a fixed entity. It is like a story constantly being pieced together over time. When you were a child, you saw yourself as someone who needed love. As you grew up, you became a student, then an employee, a parent, a person trying to live responsibly. Every role you have ever carried has its own limitations and fears. But the important truth is that none of these roles are truly you. They change over the years, and that very change reveals that the self is only a coat the mind wears, not the core of your existence. So why do negative words hurt so much? Because they touch the coat you are trying to protect. When someone calls you incompetent, they may unintentionally touch the role of someone who always wants to prove themselves. When someone calls you careless, they touch your desire to be seen as responsible. But if you can clearly see that these roles are only temporary, then their attacks are like arrows shot at a shadow. They have nowhere to land. You can try a simple 3-minute exercise. Write down 5 labels you usually use to define yourself. For example, I am someone who can endure well. I am someone who must be strong. I am someone who is always right. I am someone who must not fail. I am someone who needs to be respected. Then ask slowly, if one of these labels disappears, do I still exist? If the role changes, do I disappear? Most of these labels have nothing to do with your true nature. They are merely tools your mind uses to navigate life. When you understand this clearly, you can use a very powerful reminder. Labels are useful, but they are not me. This sentence is like opening a small door, allowing you to step outside everything you were once trying to protect. And when you stand in that space, you will discover a relieving truth. If there is no fixed self, then there is no fixed wound. People can say anything, but their words no longer have the power to carve themselves into you. And this is the practice of releasing the definitions you hold about yourself. When you loosen your grip on the image of who you think you must be, you create space for peace to appear. This becomes the foundation for the next lesson, where you learn not only to protect your inner calm, but also to respond to life with compassion instead of unconscious reaction. When you have seen the truth that the self is only a story continuously being created, you begin to have space to observe your reactions to the world with more lightness. And from that space, you step into a profound practice the Buddha often emphasized. Instead of letting the self lead and responding with defensiveness, let compassion become your answer. This is not a weak or submissive attitude. On the contrary, it is the strongest source of energy for dissolving every cycle of hurt. One of the hardest things to do is to see the person who hurt you as someone who is hurting. But when you try to look from this angle, you will see a simple truth. Those who cause pain are often carrying pain. When someone speaks harshly, they rarely speak from peace. They speak from where they are suppressed, from where they feel lacking, from where they have never been heard. Shifting your perspective in this way does not make you weak. It simply keeps you from being pulled into their storm. Compassion is like putting your weapon down while the other person is still holding theirs. That act of setting it down has a strange kind of strength. When you do not retaliate, the conflict immediately loses the fire that fuels it. When you respond with calmness, the anger of the other person has nowhere to cling to. Compassion, in another sense, is how you disarm aggression. Kindness softens the energy of attack. To practice this, you can begin with a very familiar method in Buddhist tradition, metta. This is the cultivation of loving kindness, often starting with a simple blessing. You can silently say in your mind, "May I be free from suffering. May you be free from suffering." Just these 2 sentences, spoken during a rising wave of emotion, are enough to pull your mind away from its defensive reaction. Try a 3-step exercise for about 1 minute. First, direct the blessing toward yourself because you need peace before offering it to anyone else. Then gently send the blessing to the person who hurt you. Finally, extend that wish to all those who are suffering in the world. Your feeling does not have to be perfect. Only the intention needs to open. There is a small story many people have experienced. During an argument, instead of reacting harshly, someone simply took a deep breath and said quietly, "I understand you are stressed. I also hope things can become easier for both of us." Just one sentence like that softened the entire atmosphere immediately. Because when you stop fighting, the other person no longer has a reason to continue fighting. The most important message here is this: use metta as a reminder whenever emotion rises. Compassion does not make you lose anything. It only keeps you from getting stuck in the spiral of old wounds. And when you can live this way, you will see more clearly a profound truth. A person who carries a peaceful heart is stronger than someone carrying the weapons of the ego. When you have learned to look at the people who hurt you with compassion, when you have learned to observe the stories of the mind and to stay grounded in non-reaction, it is time to turn all of that understanding into concrete action. Knowledge only becomes wisdom when you live with it, and habits are the first stones that build a temple of peace within you. This is why this 30-day plan is designed as a foundation-building journey that slowly expands, helping you feel more clearly that you matter and that you deserve a gentler life. From day 1 to day 7, your only goal is to create the foundation. Every morning, give yourself exactly 5 minutes of stillness. You do not need to meditate deeply. Just sit, feel your breath, and let your body and mind begin the day without being pulled by urgency. Along with that, choose one boundary action each day. It can be saying no to a request that would drain you, saying "let me think about it and get back to you," or simply turning off notifications for 1 hour. This is how you teach yourself that your peace also deserves priority. From day 8 to day 15, you begin observing and loosening the stories the mind keeps creating. 3 times a day, pause for a few seconds and label the thoughts moving through you, gently saying, "This is a thought" or "This is a story." Each night, write down the most prominent story of the day and check the truth behind it. This helps you see that most of what frightens you is simply memory, exaggeration, or something that has not even happened. From day 16 to day 22, you bring non-reaction and compassion deeper into your life. Each day, do the pause, breathe, observe practice once, or even better, twice. All you need is a 3-second pause, 3 steady breaths, and 10 seconds of observing the sensations in your body. Afterwards, practice metta twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening if possible. The phrases "may I be free from suffering," "may all beings be free from suffering" will become a gentle current that softens your heart. From day 23 to day 29, you move into energy evaluation and releasing what depletes you. Each day, check what drains your energy and what makes you brighter. Then choose one draining thing and reduce it. It might be a tense relationship, a task you have been forcing yourself to carry for too long, or a habit that keeps your mind heavy. Day 30 is integration. Sit down, look back at the entire journey, and choose 3 habits you want to keep long-term. These 3 habits are the proof that you matter and that you have truly changed. In the video description, you will find a downloadable checklist to help you track each day, along with 7 sample sentences for common situations such as setting boundaries, saying no, responding to the inner critic, forgiving yourself, metta phrases, identity checking exercises, and a short journaling prompt. The most important part of this plan is not perfection. It is the fact that you show up every day, even just a little. Habits are the evidence, not emotions. And if you want extra motivation, join the 30-day comment section under the video to walk alongside others who are healing just like you. Just one small step each day, and the temple of peace within you will slowly take form. When we go deeper into the journey of inner transformation, many people experience changes they themselves never expected. The following stories, though told simply and concisely, reflect a truth that only a few small shifts, a few steady habits, and a bit of courage to return to oneself can gently but profoundly redirect a life. Let me give you a few examples of these changes. Emily Parker is a creative employee working in an environment that constantly demands quick responses and long hours. She often brought work home, struggling with guilt every time she wanted to rest. When she began the first week of the 30-day plan, Emily Parker chose only one thing: setting work-hour boundaries. She told herself she had the right to turn off notifications after 6 in the evening. At first, the fear of being judged made her hesitant, but she reminded herself that her peace also deserved priority. As she stayed consistent for 1 week, then 2, she noticed her productivity improving. By the third week, Emily Parker bravely declined unreasonable requests and proposed clearer working methods. Her manager unexpectedly listened. Her colleagues respected her more. 3 months later, she was assigned a new project that aligned far better with her energy and strengths. The entire shift began with one small boundary, yet it opened a new direction she had never imagined. Then there is Michael Anderson. Michael Anderson is a young father who is constantly stressed because of his job and because his daughter has entered adolescence with many changes. The two of them argued frequently over the smallest things. Michael Anderson carried that heaviness into his sleep and woke up feeling weighed down. When he tried practicing metta twice a day, at first he repeated the phrase, "May I be free from suffering," in a mechanical way. But one day, after an argument, he suddenly remembered the second step: sending a blessing to the one who caused him pain. He sat down, breathed deeply, and whispered, "May my daughter be peaceful, may she understand me." Surprisingly, after just a few repetitions, the way he looked at his daughter changed. Instead of reacting, he listened more. His daughter softened too and started sharing things she used to hide. No big lessons were needed, only a gentle blessing repeated consistently brought the two of them closer. And then there is Bennett, who once believed she was born anxious. A single unread message, a slightly irritated look from someone, or a small mistake at work could send her mind spinning. When she reached the week of non-reaction practice, she began using the pause, breathe, observe exercise whenever emotions rose. For the first time, when her supervisor criticized her, Bennett paused for 3 seconds, took 3 deep breaths, and observed the tightness in her chest. She did not try to fix it. She simply watched it like a passing cloud. What surprised her most was that the anxiety softened before she even had the chance to defend herself. Combined with 5 minutes of morning stillness, her mind became more stable. After a month, her colleagues said Bennett seemed calmer and listened better. Her anxiety did not disappear completely, but it no longer controlled every action she took. These stories remind us that change does not need to be dramatic. One slow breath, one loving wish, or one small boundary can create significant shifts in a life. As you approach the final stretch of this journey, there is a gentle but profound truth that many people often overlook. Loving yourself is not a reward you receive after you become complete, after you heal enough, or after life becomes better. Loving yourself is the signal you send out, the frequency life uses to respond to you. It is like the light from a small lamp shining in the night. You do not wait for the sun to rise before lighting it. You light it because you need that glow to find your way. Life always responds to the version of you that you are living right now, not the version you hope to become someday. Many people want their lives to change, but they continue acting out old habits, reflecting old fears, and maintaining old ways of treating themselves. They want respect, yet they constantly abandon their own needs. They want love, yet they speak to themselves with harshness and blame. The difference between wanting life to change and becoming the version life naturally wants to move toward lies entirely in how you treat yourself in this very moment. You can try a simple 2-minute visualization. a small practice that helps your heart become a compass that always points to the north of truth. Sit upright, gently close your eyes, and place one hand on your chest. Imagine that the spot where your hand touches is a tiny point of light, like a warm flame. Each inhale makes that light grow larger. Each exhale makes it steadier and more grounded. After a few breaths, ask yourself, which version of me is sending a signal to the world right now? Is it fear or clarity? Is it the longing to be seen or the quiet confidence of being enough? The light in your chest will give you the answer. And once you feel that direction, simply hold it. No perfection, no pressure. Just send out the right signal. Because in life, signals are always stronger than wishes. And when you live according to the signal of your own heart, life cannot help but respond. As you arrive at the end of today's journey, you may look back and realize that everything we have explored, from not taking things personally, to observing your thoughts, to practicing non-reaction, and cultivating loving kindness, all leads to one shared point. It is the return to yourself in mindfulness. The old teachings say that the mind is like the surface of a lake. When it is no longer disturbed by the noise around it, the water naturally becomes clear. In the same way, when you stop tying yourself to the stories of the ego, peace will appear on its own. There is a sentence I want to leave you with as a closing, because it captures the entire essence of today's lesson. Peace begins the moment you stop taking things personally. Peace begins the moment you no longer see every word, every action, and every change in life as being aimed at you. That is the gateway to inner freedom. And with just one small step each day, the transformation will grow larger than you expect. If you want to go deeper, you can begin the first day of the 30-day practice journey with me. The guide is available right below in the description. Leave a comment with the words "I choose myself" so I know you are walking this path too. And if you have stayed until this very moment, subscribe so you do not miss the 10-minute guided meditation recording I will post in the next video. Lastly, remember 3 simple things to carry with you into daily life. Pause, protect, practice. Just pause, protect your mind, and repeat the practice, and you are already moving in the right direction.